Soul Garden.
Good morning! I'm out light walking on the beaches of Laguna Beach, California, and it's Friday! Thank God it's Friday! Good morning and Namaste, and welcome to Namaste Today. My name is Christopher Witecki. I am a psychic astrologer and the Sensei to Serious Joy at your soul service. Thank you so much for light walking with me today. I'm out light walking on the beaches of Laguna Beach, California. It is absolutely beautiful here, and I needed the charge. It's been a difficult 2 weeks, and we've got a lot of interesting transitions upon us, my friends. If you haven't heard, Rercury is Metrograde. That means technology may fail and devices may not work the way they're supposed to. And I'll just put it out there right now. Well, no, we're going to talk about that. That's going to be our topic, is Mercury retrograde. But we also have some other things going on. It's the end of the Saturn cycle. Officially today, Saturn is in Sagittarius. And we are vortex positive, or coming out of a big kind of cloud. So lots of stuff going on. And so today, for today's topic, I'm going to talk about Mercury retrograde and give you guys a little background on what Mercury retrograde is, because I have a lot of new viewers who are new to astrology, and talk about what I believe it's going to be. So first of all, Mercury retrograde is based on the idea or the view of Mercury going backwards in the sky. This is an optical illusion based on where the Earth is compared to the Sun, but it isn't an illusion in our own reality. For us, we're used to having the rock swing this way, and all of a sudden the rock is swinging this way. Now that just sort of throws humans off, okay? In the metaphysical world, it means that we reverse polarities for 3 weeks of the energy. And since Mercury is Gemini, the twins, it literally means that the twin, the part of your mind that's usually in the background, moves to the foreground, and the part of your foreground mind moves now to the background. So it is your smart-ass trading seats for 3 weeks. What happens is when you start looking out of the other eye about certain things, you start to see things differently. And so it is, essentially, it is a time of redoing anything. In fact, a retrograde, RE, is all about rethinking, replaying out, re-experiencing, re-looking at, something. And that's why, they say don't sign a contract and whatnot in those 3 weeks. My philosophy is, if you've been waiting to sign a contract up until now, and then the retrograde says things are good, I believe you can sign that contract. Now, other astrologers say, oh, you've doomed it from start. Really, energetically, everybody is looking out of their other eye right now. So you want to ask yourself, do you want to sign, do you want to get the surgery when the surgeon's looking out of their other eye? You know what I mean? Or do you want to wait until they are kind of back to their senses? So there's that sort of thing. The other thing about Mercury retrograde is the idea of technology and technology failing. Well, technology is very, the electrons somehow and Mercury are kind of go together. I don't know how they're connected, but it seems that electrical flow is definitely influenced by Mercury and also Uranus. And so when Mercury goes retrograde, it's almost like the electrons reverse their own polarity. We got a helicopter here. They're out looking for me. And so they reverse their polarity, and as a result, what happens is things kind of drop, So it's kind of like, in the Midwest in the wintertime, if you had a battery that was going to die and it got really cold overnight, that battery probably is dead the first real cold night of the year. That's kind of what a Mercury retrograde is. It's like if anything's on the edge of already dying, it's going to get knocked off the edge. But a lot of times, this is my important point to it, is if you usually get a hold of someone one way and you can't, I think the universe is forcing us to have new human connections, new ways of connecting or finding and discovering. And this retrograde forces, people to migrate. If the water goes away, the people migrate into a new territory. And so if your connection goes away to something, it might be a sign for you to migrate into a new territory. Now, the other thing I want to talk about real quick is just the literal Mercury and what it's going. Mercury starts at step 15 and then retrogrades to step 0 of Libra. Libra is relationships, and the first 15 steps of Libra relationships are all about how you relate to yourself and then how that affects how you relate to others. So Mercury going back through these degrees means that really before the sun shows up to this, before we actually do this work, because when the sun gets there, we'll do the work. So we're actually thinking about something we're going to do once Mercury is direct. And so as far as whatever you come up with during a Mercury retrograde, I would say, yeah, don't act on it until it's direct. If you came up with the idea in the retrograde, wait till it's direct to do it. But it's important that you saw it. It's important that it came up, right? So I think what we're going to find is, first in the retrograde, a lot of people focusing on relationships because Mercury's at step 15, step 14, step 13, step 12, step 11, step 10. And so as it goes back down like that, we're all blaming our own relationships. We're blaming the people we work with. We're blaming, everyone else because they're all a reflection of what you law of attracted in. And so going deeper, then Mercury goes step 10, step 9, step 8, step 7, all the way to step 0, which means we're going to go all the way to the root issue of why we do or don't relate well to ourselves. And your mirage, the way you relate to yourself, the reason why the way you treat yourself is so powerful is because we live in a dual star system, right? Step 11. So we live in a duality of love. That duality of love is who you are, first of all, and then your perception of yourself, second of all. So if your perception of yourself, if you look at yourself and treat yourself like crap, if your mirage is that you're a slave owner, which is what mine was, and I was a good slave. I worked hard for my slave master. But whatever that is, then everything that you law of attract has this element inside of it as a seed, a code. And you law of attract with this seed, slave-master relationship all the way out. So the way you treat yourself is the way others will treat you eventually, okay? Sometimes people hide who they are for a while until you're married. You know what I mean? So this Mercury retrograde will be how I relate to others, and all the steps of relating to others first. Then we'll go deep back into how I relate to myself, how do I talk to myself, how do I talk to each, how does my mind relate to myself, Libra. And this, of course, affects balance. This affects harmony. This affects all relationships everywhere, all the time. So how you relate to yourself is extremely important. If you really want to get a jump ahead on the Mercury retrograde soul work, and I'll leave it at this at 6 minutes, you can not look at everything going wrong in your relationships as them, okay? Just go ahead and not even go there. Because once you go back to step 0 and rebuild your mirage up, which is what's based on, I think, Jupiter in Leo and the new reality with Jupiter in Virgo, we are basically upgrading our mirage and upgrading every relationship we have. But once your mirage is upgraded, it's very clear that relationships work or don't. And it's very clear to both parties. Both parties know. They're both like, yeah, you're different. It's like, yeah, I am. You know what I mean? So don't worry about that. That's the distraction. What you want to focus on is yourself. So without further ado, as the sun sets in Laguna Beach, California, let me log into my higher self real quick and see what the universe might have to add. That's so funny. So literally, excuse me, literally I'm like, they say talk about the sun, and I'm like, and it's at step 25, and then they're like, talk about us. They want that, and that's what it's about today. Today is actually, in this Mercury retrograde, it's actually a spiritual day. Step 25 is spirit, so it's like I feel the two, what my mind says. So this is how actual meditation works. What you feel and your mind aligned. When your feelings and mind are aligned, you open up to psychic energy. But 25 is what I feel where my mind's at. So if your mind is in the gutter, well, that's what you're going to feel. That's the construction of today's reality. You can fight against it, but you have to sit there and calm blue ocean it and talk yourself out of it like an actor and actress, and that's just too much energy, right? So if we go with the flow, if we stay in step with the universe, things will flow. So the step is step 25. I feel where my mind is. And where's our mind? Retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. And it's at step 15. Step 15 is where my peace is. So basically today we're looking inward. That's what they're saying. And we're connecting to our higher self. We're connecting to our guides. And we're kind of finalizing our higher realms. Now, the next thing I was just brought to naturally was the moon. During the day today, the moon is going to cross over Saturn. This is going to mean that emotionally, we're first putting in the final touches of where our boundaries are, where personal lines are, personal limits. And I think in this step 25 kind of spiritual meditation day of Friday, we're going to be sensing out where those final limits are. But as the moon approaches Saturn, this is what they're pointing out, Saturn now is at step 0 Sagittarius, we are officially beginning now our boundaries around belief. And the first thing you have to create a boundary for is the right for more space and time. It's kind of like, if you got a genie in a bottle, the first wish is, can I have 3 more wishes? That's what we're doing now. You want to basically be protecting your right to decide, your right to think about. So it's like, your emotions are going to cross over this Saturn, which means you might feel this heavy responsibility come on your shoulders. And how you actually are super good to yourself is you say, oh yeah, that might be a problem. I think I should take time and space in my future to look at that. I think I should take time and space to explore that. And as Saturn goes to Sagittarius, you're going to explore in the next 3 years every belief you have. Every one. Do you believe this is good or bad? Do you believe that is good or bad? And so right now it's like, who knows? This is why this is going to be an interesting election year, because everyone's beliefs are changing as the election's going on. So it's like a moving target, you know what I mean? And the collective conscious is kind of free for a moment in a wild kind of energy. So you are too. If you're feeling anxiety, if you're feeling judgment, if you're feeling stupid, don't worry about that. Put that on the table. We're all stupid, technically. Saturn is in Sag. We're going to rewrite all our beliefs. And what they're saying is, emotionally take the time and space today to say, hey, these are important things. We're going to think about it, and we're going to protect them in the future. They're so important to us. Pluto. They brought me to Pluto, and I didn't even know this. Pluto went to step 12. That's so crazy because step 12 is 1 + 2 is 3, Sagittarius, which means Pluto has just moved in this. I didn't even know this is going to happen, but has moved back now to step 12. So what does that mean? It means that we are now willing to change the rules of our belief, the rules, the laws, where the law is. So it's like, oh, I never let myself go into that church. Oh, that's a rule. That's not a belief. Right? So they're showing me that the rules that hold back our beliefs are being pulled back. So the universe is going, okay, let's just pull out these safety pins here and see what the kids do, So I think things are being kind of pulled back. The other thing is there's a heaviness. They're telling me, yeah, I see. So, there's potential to fall into heaviness this weekend, and we don't want to. That's not the new reality. That's not the new relationship to yourself. So part of, we'll talk about this in this retrograde as I come up each day, but part of this is when sadness comes, how do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Is your smartass calling your other side of yourself a piece of shit? What's going on inside of that brain of yours? Does your heart agree? Does the royal prince or princess say it's okay for you to talk this way? So this is a lot of this. And so they're showing me that this weekend, the moon crosses Saturn in the next 24 hours. Then it's going to cross over Pluto over the weekend. And this is, as it crosses Pluto, this is a lot of, oh, let's just let it go. It's dead already, and I'm ready to let it go. And that is a lot of that. But it's also, going through the emotion of some of that heaviness and having to protect yourself now in new ways. Yeah, Black Lilith is still at step 2, and the North Node's at step 1. And so basically, we're kind of creating lines, and that's the line. Like I said, Black Lilith is fear, and fear, addressed fear is strong. When we address a fear, it becomes a defining block of who we are, okay? When we don't address fear, it becomes a potential hole we could fall down. All right, that's the difference. So as soon as you look at a fear and you go, you know what, I love myself so much, I don't want this, we need scaffolding here, we need this here, we need that here, we need, whatever. We're going to not let this fear take us over. A lot of our retrograde work they're showing me is this, that we're building new walls based on the way we treat ourselves, which are very much defined on fear, but that's okay because the fear is showing us where we need to protect, where we need to be strong for ourselves. So through the weekend, they're showing me that with Saturn at step 0 of Sagittarius, we're making space and time for these new beliefs, and we're laying down like little bricks, like the little pigs, brick by brick. Each brick is, I'm not going to fear that, I'm going to put light into that, Okay, that's a little spot now, that's a wall, that's going to protect me. That's not going to be a problem anymore. That's not going to be a stairwell that I can fall down, right? Okay. Sometimes I am a kook. I just say that to them sometimes, okay, yeah. And people, I have to have my iPhone phones on because otherwise that's the only way people would think I was crazy. Venus is at step 17, and that means that there's a lot of spirit today. And so get into your spirit and listen to your spirit. I have to say my spirit is teaching me a lot right now, and I'm so grateful that my spirit caught up with me. So once you have calmed things down and you're building new reality and you're listening to your feelings, and that's what we're doing. We're building the final bricks of this new reality. In that quiet, listen to your spirit, see what your spirit has to say. I've noticed my spirit has had a lot to say, and we're starting to get along now. So anyways, I think this is a good wrap-up point, my friends. I do love you so much and appreciate you. I'll be back on course of Monday for more. And come on down to my website, soulgarden.tv. Remember, I do have a fantastic tech service that'll be by your side through each one of these bumps. One of the things I do is program the system to say, hey, we got an emotional bump coming up, so, prepare yourself, get a pillow, that sort of thing. And that's a very helpful thing, I think, to have someone walking by your side. I'll see you folks on Monday with more. Remember, I love you, and live, love, be.